Hello knitters, welcome back to Rena Knits.
For this week's video, what we're going to do is make coasters or even some sort of a design that you could put around the house. These are little stars that can go anywhere and it can also fit for any occasion. So have fun and let me know what you think. We could try making a star. This could be great decorative pieces or as coasters, anything you like. So this is the star that we will be making. In order to make the star, what we're going to use is needles, and I'm going to just use a blue because I've done red, so I'm going to use blue to show how to make it. You begin by casting on 3 stitches. Now when you cast on, leave a little bigger string at the end. So like when you're putting on your first stitch, just leave a little extra yarn right here. I'll explain near the end when we're putting it all together why that is the case. And we're going to cast on 3 stitches. Now, once you've done that, row 1 is all knit. Then row 2, we're going to increase by 2 stitches, so therefore we'll have 5 at the end. So you're going to increase a stitch by knitting as normal, but not removing the stitch, and then knitting from the back. So knitting from the front and knitting from the back, so you get 2 extra, and removing your stitch. And we're going to do it one more time to the next stitch. Knitting from the front and then knitting from the back and remove. And last stitch we're just going to knit. So now we have 5 stitches. So the next 3 rows we're just going to knit with the wool row. So row 3 is all knit. Row 4 is all knit. And row 5 is all knit. Now row 6, you're going to again increase by 2 stitches. You're going to do the knit from the front and knit from the back on the first stitch. So knit from the front, knit from the back, so you've increased it by 1. Then you're going to knit till you have 2 stitches left. So knit, 2 stitches remaining. So you're going to knit from the front and knit from the back on this one. So you're going to increase your stitch on the first stitch, and then you're going to knit the last one. And again, the next 3 rows are all knits. Once you've knit those 3 rows, you will now repeat the same 4 rows another 2 times till you get, so right now you have 3, 6, 7 here. You want to be able to have 11 stitches here. So you're going to repeat this one other time, which will get you 9, and then a last time, which will get you 11 stitches. So once you have those 11 stitches and you've knit the 3 rows, then we are going to finish off this particular portion. So you're going to repeat. So knit from the front, knit from the back to increase once. Then you're going to knit till 2 stitches remaining. Then again, you're going to increase the stitch on the first stitch remaining, and then the last stitch you're just going to knit. And now you're going to knit the next 3 rows, and again repeat it till you get 11 stitches right here. Now here is my piece with the 11 stitches right here, and I've done the 3 rows of knit. So now what you're going to do here is keep an extra bit of yarn, so about 2 to 3 inches, and then just cut it off. So I'm just going to cut it off here. You will need that extra bit later on for stitching, for sewing. So now what you're going to do is repeat this little corner of the star. So we're basically knitting these corners. You're going to repeat it 4 more times. And again, you're going to cut a bit of yarn here. But the last one that you knit, so the 5th little piece that you have, corner, do not cut your yarn. Keep it. So that, and then we could start finishing it off. So knit another 4 of these, and the 4th one you want to not cut your yarn. What you can do is leave it on your needle if it's long enough, and just put it to the side and start working on the next one. Once you have knit the 5 sides, so basically these 5 sides, what you want to make sure is that each of these strings yarn that you cut is in the same direction. So you just want to make sure if they're all in the same direction. And the last yarn is the one that you didn't cut. If they're not in the same directions, just take the stitches out and turn it around and make sure they're in the same direction. So here is when you will need stitch markers. So I basically and another thing to note is that you should have 55 stitches in total. So you have 5 corners of the star, and they should all be 11 each. So altogether 55 stitches. So what we're now going to do is row 1 now is just knitting all the way across and adding a stitch marker after every corner that you complete knitting. So here's my 1. I'm going to add a stitch marker, and I'm going to keep knitting. And then I'm going to keep knitting, and I'm just going to tighten this as I am so you don't lose it. So just knit and keep knitting forward. And what you're going to do is just tighten this so that way it comes through. And you're going to go all the way like across the row. Same way, you're going to, wherever you stop, finish one corner, you add the stitch marker and you keep knitting forward. So let's continue and finish this row off with all knits. Your next row, which is the wrong side row, what you're going to do is decrease. So you're going to start off by slipping one, slipping another stitch, and then knitting these 2 together. And then you're going to knit till you come to 2 last stitches before your place marker. And then these 2 you're going to knit together. And you're going to keep decreasing this between each of your place markers. You're going to do the same pattern. So the next row, next petal, so to speak, what you're going to do is slip slip, knit these two together, then knit till you have the last 2 stitches before your place marker. And then you're going to knit these 2 together. And you're going to keep repeating this till the end of your row. Once you have completed row 2, row 3 will be the same as row 2. So you will again decrease in the beginning of a corner and then at the end of the corner. So in the beginning you'll do slip, slip, knit, and then you're gonna knit till you have 2 stitches before the place marker. And then you will knit these 2 together. So you'll do a K2 together. Move the place marker over, and then again slip, slip, then knit the 2 together, and then you will knit till you have 2 stitches remaining, and you will do this till the end of the row. So your row 3 is the same as row 2. Once you've done row 2 and 3, your 4th row will be all knits. So row 1 was all knit, row 2 and 3 were decreased, and now row 4 is all knit again. Once you've done row 4, row 5 and 6 are the next 2 rows. Row 5 will be a decreased row, and then row 6 will be a knit row. So after you do the decrease the same way, the first 2 are SSK, and the last 2 before the place marker are knit 2 together. And once you've completed that between each of your corners, you will have 25 stitches, and then row 6 will be a knit row. And after that, we will go to another decreased row. So row 5 is a decreased row, the same as row 2, and then row 6 is an all knit row. Once you've done row 5 and 6, row 7 is another decreased row. So at the end of row 7, you should have 15 stitches in total. So again, we're going to do the same type of decrease as we've been doing. So the first corner, slip, slip, and then knit these 2 together, and then knit 1 stitch, and then you'll be at your last 2 stitches. You're going to knit these 2 together like this, move the place marker, and then do it again. Slip, slip, and knit the 2 together to decrease, and then knit 1 and decrease by doing K2 together. And you will continue this till the end of the row. So now for row 8, we're going to knit all the stitches, all 15 stitches, but now we're also going to remove the place markers. So we do not need the place markers anymore. So as you knit, you just remove the place markers. Now here I am after knitting row 8. So I have my 15 stitches. We are now going to do our last decreased row, but this one's going to be slightly different decrease. We're going to double decrease by slipping the stitches. So we're going to slip 2 together, both at the same time. So slip 2 together, and then knit 1, and then take both of the slipped stitches onto your other needle and move them over your knit stitch. That is double slip knit decrease. So again, you're going to slip 2 together, you're going to knit the next stitch, then you're going to take both those slipped stitches onto your needle and pull them over your knitted stitch. Again, take 2 stitches together and move them, slip them to your other needle, knit the stitch, and then slip both those stitches over the knitted stitch. Again, take these 2, slip them over, knit, and then slip these 2 over your knitted. Last one, slip 2, knit this one, and slip these 2 over. You now have 5 stitches remaining. So at the end of row 9, you should have 5 stitches remaining. Your row 10, you will now just knit these 5 stitches. So your row 10 is an all knit row. So you're just going to finish knitting your last 5 stitches. There we go. And now if you look at it and you just move your stitches over a little bit, you could see that you're making yourself a star coaster. So now what we're going to do is do a lot of sewing and putting it together. This is the point where I need to start sewing everything together and making it all look like a star. So here what you're going to do is you want to leave enough yarn so that you could sew it. So about 2 to 3 inches is good, and then cut it off here. You're going to take a sewing needle, put this through, and now we're going to weave in those 5 stitches. So what we're going to do is take the yarn and go through all of the stitches. And tighten it. And what I want to do is go over it one more time just to make sure that it's tight. So I'm going to go through it from the other side again one more time so that I know that everything is going through and is good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go through these again. And tighten up. Now, if you look here, this is the one that we want to start joining together so that it looks like a star. You now have to choose which side is your front and your back side, because that is where you're going to basically thread all these through. So this could be your front or this could be your front. So you have to decide which side is your right side, and then from there you choose, and then that's where you're going to start sewing together. And we're actually going to sew from the right side, and we're going to do is go from one side to the other. So you're going to go through each bump, take your needle through and go like that, and then the other side, the bump, under, over, and through, and tighten. And we're going to go through each bump so that we don't miss it and we don't create a hole. And you're going to keep doing this till you're at the very top edge. And the reason to go through each bump is so that way you don't create a hole anywhere here, and then it looks more seamless. And then when you get to the top, you just want to make sure it goes through completely. And because this is my front side, I'm going to just take this to the back like this. And here I've closed it off. So now what I'm going to do is just weave it through a few times and then knot it. And just to make sure that it's locked in place and it will not come out. And then you would just cut it off. And you will keep doing, so wherever you're seeing these in the corners, so not these ones that are at the edge, but these ones between the two corners, what you want to do is weave them through the same way we did up here. So you don't want to cause a little kind of like a cut. So you're going to take your sewing needle, take that yarn, and then we're going to just cut it through. So that's why in the beginning we left a little extra, because we wanted to make sure that we had enough yarn to help weave it through, to help with this portion of it, so that it looks more complete and more like the star we want it to look like. And once you have that, you could just go back on the back side. I have to remember which side was my back side. This is my back side. And I go through it a few times before I lock it into place. So that way then I know it's not going to come out. So you will do that on each small corner that you have to clean it up, so that way it's nice and clean look. And then you could just cut it off. And keep doing it on each corner, and then we'll have our star. Once you've weaved all the corners, all of these edges in, so that it looks like this, pretty much a complete star, what you want to do is clean up the ends now. And what you could do is take a crochet hook and just weave these into your star on the wrong side, and then cut off the extra. So here I'm going to show you how I'm weaving one of them. So you would just take this and just weave a little bit, so you want to go a few times through, just so that it's all good. And then the extra, you could just cut. Here is my star, all completed and cleaned up. And here was the previous one I created. So this is perfect as coasters as well as any decorative pieces that you want.
If you like this video, don't forget to click that like button. And if you're new, welcome. Don't forget to click that subscribe button to get the latest videos on knitting projects, knitting ideas, knitting patterns, and much more. Relax, enjoy, and keep knitting.